to another episode of the Cheap Champ Podcast. I am your host, Malcolm Hall, and we are back on the road because you know we don't pay no rent for space. And I have another guest of mine today. He's a fellow comedian, and he's going through the same struggles as me because comedy is a business, and putting these damn shows on a business. Would you care to introduce yourself, sir?
Yes, sir. Malcolm, thanks for having me. My name is Bileko Aziza Wissa. Yes.
Bileko Aziza Wissa.
Yes, sir.
Man, now that's a lot of syllables, bro.
Yeah.
That's like Bileko Aziza Wissa. That's a hell of a lot of syllables, man. So yes, man, this is a good friend of mine, Bileko, and he is the runner, the producer, the show. What do you call yourself here at the Hollywood Comedy?
The booker of the Hollywood Comedy.
The Hollywood Comedy, right here on Melrose and Cahuenga. Melrose and Cahuenga. Great club. We come in here, we work our stuff out. How many days a week are you open?
We're open 7 days a week. We have an open mic from 12 to 12 p.m. Monday through Thursday. But Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we have house shows at 8 p.m.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're open 7 days a week.
Nice. 7 days a week, which is great. Yeah. So, man, I wanted to talk about the business of comedy because, you know, along with this podcast, I got a business and I run a show. So, you know, I do a lot of shit. Yeah. Man, running shows is hard. It's a lot because a lot of times people think that, you know, you just put up a flyer and people are going to show up. Getting people into a venue is one of the hardest things I've ever tried to do. It's very difficult, very inconsistent, and it's a tough thing, man. So tell me something about what got you into producing shows. We'll talk about you being a comedian in a second, but what got you into producing shows?
If you want to be on shows, you got to have shows. So the business of comedy is a relationship business. It's a people business first. And that's really a lot of businesses. It's about relations and who you know. So one of the reasons why I got into producing was I noticed, and I don't want to say people that weren't as funny as me or not funny, but I noticed, this guy gets a lot of shows. And I was like, because he produces his own show. So what happens is, hey man, I want to get on your show. Hey, I got my own show. I'll give you 10 minutes. You give me 10 minutes. So I started to notice people started to show swap or a
swap time, right.
So I was like, all right, I have to start producing my own show. So I'm very fortunate. The owner here, she was like, hey, do you want to have your own show? I was like, yes. So what I started to know is I was starting to get more time on real shows by having my own show because other comedians, they see the lineup, you get bigger comedians like yourself on, and man, hey, let me hit up a link and let me get on the spot. So I noticed, hey, this person here, he has his own spot. And then if you have 5 minutes for me, please. So that's what I got into producing because you ended up getting more shows. It becomes a domino effect because it's like to get booked, when people see you book, they book you because you're booking, if that makes sense. You know
right, makes sense. Yeah, absolutely. They book you because you're booking. Yeah. You know, people want to, okay, I got a dope show. I mean, I do it too. You see the good shows like at the Hollywood Improv Comedy Store. You see who producing the show, you try to get on them.
Right.
You try to get them. But the hard part about the producing the show part is, I would say, you got to get the comedians.
Yeah.
You got to find quality comedians. Yeah. And as your career goes on, you can't just put on everybody. You know, it's like, man, you know funny, experience, and you know who's not. Right. You know, you don't have to be a damn a Robin Harris or Bernie Mac or anything like that. However, I can't need you. You can't be in your second week because some guys, they really slow the pacing of the show down. You put them up front, I'll let you open, then I'll come behind and clean it up. Right. But as we get further in the show, you don't want to put anybody up. So how do you go out and find talent?
Well, luckily here we have a mic 7 days a week, so I'm able to watch. No lie, in a week, I think I probably see 300 to 400 comedians a week that come in here. So even though I'll be in my office, I'll pop in, I'll be like, oh man, who's that? That's funny. But I'll also tell the host, I'm like, if you see somebody that's funny, let me know, send me their info. All right, like, this person's funny. But also I'm out. So one thing also too, Malcolm, you know this, if I see you funny once, okay, I'm alert. But if I don't see you anywhere else, that's a problem to me.
Right.
Because if you only go to one place and you're funny, that doesn't mean you're funny. You got to be funny in different venues. Like for us, like we go to different rooms. You go to a hood black room. I'll go to a highly educated black room. I'll go to a white room. I'll go to a white trash room. I'll go to a Mexican room. I'll do an LGBT room. We do all these different rooms because you're trying to work this muscle. So when you book comedians, I got to be like, I feel confident putting this comedian on the show because I saw him or her rip, but they're out. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody can have a bad set.
Yeah, everybody. It's going to happen.
It's going to happen. And it's funny because even real comedians, I think, in my opinion, that have bad sets, it's just like, I said this joke wrong, but they're present. So they're still like, no, he and him or her are getting through it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's one way. But really, honestly, because you're out, everywhere I go, Malcolm, no lie. If I see you at a club, or I go out at the comedy store, I have my phone out, I'm putting on a list. Who's this dude? Oh, like for example, Darius Bennett. I was like, oh, Darius Bennett, man, that dude's funny. Okay, I'm holla at him. So I'm always like sort of like recruiting in a sense of like, I gotta know who's funny. You gotta know who's out there.
Mm-hmm.
So you add value to your shows in your club, because one thing comedians don't really understand is, Malcolm, people are paid. We're in a pandemic. People don't have no.
That hits the sound.
Oh, sorry. We're in a pandemic. People are paying fucking money to come to a club. It's $20 for tickets. They're buying drinks. Luckily here, parking is free. But think about if you go to the grandfather clubs, then you have the audacity to put your notes on a desk while you're working. You ain't Dave Chappelle. You ain't Bill Burr. You better be prepared for 7 minutes.
Right.
That's a whole other thing. That's a whole physical.
Yeah,
people are paying their hard-earned money.
People are paying their money. You're showing up to the test with the notes. Like I mean, do what you do. That's just not my thing. And you should know what shows you can and can't do that on. And I think sometimes, one thing about producing shows, if you around people who open mic too much, I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with practice, but you practice how you play, and you will open mic yourself into practicing like that, because when people are paying money, they expect a good final product. They expect finished product. When we see the big comedians, that's finished product. We're not seeing them, work that stuff out. So some people come and just work it out. I'm not a fan of somebody saying, so what I want to talk about, especially on a show, like you should be prepared and know what you want to say, because this show can lead to the next opportunity. You never know who's out there. You never know who, even if it's not a good night, people know what they're looking for. So, sometimes some people just don't come prepared, and they're not just practicing enough. Because once you get out there and get on that road, you got 2-3 shows, you're in another city, they don't know who you are. You got to be funny. And you really got to bring it, and you got to have confidence in your shit.
But where does that confidence come from? You getting those reps in.
The confidence comes from you getting those reps in. Yes, you have to get confident, get your reps in, work that new stuff. And it's always a constant thing. But everybody doesn't take it serious. I don't think everybody's trying to pay bills and pay rent off of this. Some people just want to do it just to do it.
Yeah, that's the one bad thing about this is, like, I guess the benefit is it's a hangout. You get to meet people. Right? But here's the irony about it is, like, that stage won't lie.
No, the stage will not lie to you. Mm-hmm. Unlike being a musician, you got to put a team together to get a song. You're not about to put a good song together alone. That's rare. It happens, but it's very, very rare. Anybody can walk on the stage in comedy, start doing comedy. Like you said, they got T.I. doing comedy right now. I have no problem with it. But is he going to book 50 cities and do an hour? That's the goal. That's the epitome. Just like as a rapper, the goal is not an EP. It's an album and a hit song. You can have a couple hit songs, but you want that album. So, it takes time. You got to build an audience, and building an audience takes time.
It takes time, and you got to, going back to we talk about the promotion and how to get people to come to shows. A lot of comedians don't understand building an email list, texting people, and SMS marketing. They don't do that. They'll just post a flyer and think that's supposed to get people to come. Who are you? You know what I mean? If you don't have a name or people don't have an emotional connection to you, why would I come to your show?
Right.
You don't put up a clip of, you're not doing no promo video, no nothing. Like me, when I have my show, I text people. I have an email list. It's so small, but it's about 1,400 people.
Yeah, that's small. Hey, you say it's small, but that's not.
Because if you think about, you were to pull out your phone right now, anybody that's watching this, you pull out your phone, you probably might have like 700 contacts in there. That's your warm market. That's when you start your email list. After every show, or you're at the door, let me get an email. Every show I'm on, I get emails. You get that email. Especially if you smash, you better be in the, yo, get that. You were so funny. Hey, do you mind to get your email? Just let you know what's going on in my career. This is what I'm doing. This is a people business. This whole idea of you smash, you do well on the show, then you're outside not talking to your fans, your potential fans that want to ride with you on this journey.
Right.
Because they're going to be like, it's 2022. You want 2025 to be like, yo, he was at the Hollywood Comedy. He was so nice. I'm so happy. He's now on Netflix. You know what I mean? They don't understand that business. Right.
They don't understand that business. And, talking about producing the shows, so, podcast called Cheap Champ, cost of doing business and how much things cost. The money you got to spend for these shows. Because sometimes, let's talk about it. So a lot of times I call it passion pimping. People pimp you for your passion. They know you love it. So you're going to do it for free. And they know that. Just like comics, we're passion pimp. We are being pimped. People know we love comedy. We'll watch a motherfucker sell this bitch out, all tickets everywhere, sell it out, right? Won't ask for a dime. Or won't even, okay, that's fine. But you won't even sell your shit. Like, you got a problem with me selling my shit, making my money? Because, like, look, they're making money. And if you just do this and, you know, if you're just doing it just to, you know, pay the club, then that's bad math. You had to pay your talent. And I get it. Shows cost money. That's why the bringer show exists. Because it's the easiest thing for the promoter to do. I can sit back. All I got to do is get the venue. They're all going to bring somebody. I collect the money. And then I pay the venue. And then I take home the fee. I pay them nothing.
Let me say something. There's so much money in people's dreams. There's an infinite amount of money on people's dreams. People will come here, and here's the thing, because in comedy, a lot of comics don't know their value because comedians are not as respected until you're a top-notch comedian. Right. So even at this level, the moment you get into this and you get into producing, you have to know your value. You're like, wait, how much are the tickets? Like when somebody even books you, there's nothing wrong with saying is their pay. Because if you're driving like 30 minutes out of your range to do 10 minutes, at least give me gas money.
Or, you know, like me, I'm always going to sell merch. Cheapnotbroke.com. If you go to www.cheapnotbroke.com, go check out our sponsors. We got t-shirts for you. We got travel courses. If you want to get around, save some money, go to cheapnotbroke.com. Yeah, so, you know, I got my own, you know, you got to push your own merch and sell your own stuff. But comedians are not necessarily business people.
No, and they know that. The clubs know that.
And they know that because, like, they just get high off of telling jokes.
Right.
It's like, all right, you know, they know that. They know that about you. Like, how many comedians are running around as an LLC and they're still getting paid as a sole prop?
Let me tell you something.
I mean, what about all the flights, the food, all that's deductions? You can deduct all that shit. But you got to go hire an accountant that costs money and a tax attorney, which costs money. Now, it's going to save you money in the long run, right. But you got to pay them up front. Then they tell you what to do, what to write off, and then you make money on the back end. Yeah. How many guys are doing that?
No,
or girls?
Because comedians, what we think is like, just grind it out, struggle, and then once you get on, then everything will be taken care of.
Now everybody's going to be taking a piece of your ass. They're going to be charging you for something.
A piece of your ass.
Everybody's going to be taking a piece of it. You know, you're going to have, all these fees, all these different fees and all these other things that you have to pay before you get your bread. Right. So you don't want everybody in your pie. That's why you want to own some stuff. Right. You know, like Kanye, he just sold his album directly to the people, made $2 million. Right. Oh, he would have made $100 million. But you don't know what the deal looked like with the fees and all the other things that's owed. Interest, yes, all that stuff. They knock you down. Right. So you always want to have some ownership and some stuff that you own, especially as a comedian. Like even if you know producing a show, right. You know, you want to get a good relationship with the venue. Right. Because, you know, long as they'll open the doors, you can try to do what you can do to fill it up. Right. But, you know, us as show producers, we got to spend more money too. Pay for that advertisement because you see these shows now, you see it sponsored. Yeah. Everywhere sponsored. Yeah. And some of these shows look good. Why? Because they hire a fucking photographer. The difference between a poor show and a good show is aesthetics. Some of these shows, that you go in there and they look like, man, they look great on the internet, but you go in there, it's nothing. Nothing. But you go to another show, crazy, but they don't have no photos, no nothing going on, so you don't know what's happening. Right. So, you know, like me, I have to take the camera right now and go film, take pictures of the comics and do all that stuff for the next show so I can get more butts and seats. Right. It's not just about me going up and smashing and being funny. Yeah. That's not going to sell no tickets.
Now, I'm going to tell you the truth, Malcolm, you being funny and you're hilarious, I think it's like probably 5% of the whole production of the show.
Man, tell me
That's
about it.
That's probably like the sixth thing on your list. You're like, because when you produce a show, it's a different mindset. It's different than a comedian because it's almost like you see the whole floor in a basketball sense or whatever. It's like, no, I'm not worried about my own chart. I'm worried about setting him up, make sure she's fine. You know, that person, they can buy a drink. What's wrong with them? You know what I'm saying? How many people?
It's your team. You're the star.
You're the star.
So even if you're the star and everybody else plays poorly, you still going to get talked about because you could have made those guys better. You could have did something. It's just the way it goes. I mean, if I'm hilarious on my show and the comedians are not funny, my show is bad. It's not, the story is not Malcolm's funny. The story is Malcolm's comedy show isn't that good.
You can do 100 good things, 10 people will remember. You do one bad thing, 1,000 people will know.
Yep. So you make sure you forget that bad thing.
Right. You know what I mean? Like it's that the producing of shows, man, it takes you to a whole other level. Whole other level.
It does. It just it takes you to a whole nother level, and you know, it's really running a business. You know, because at the end of the night, you got to count that money up. How much did we make? Okay, you got to figure out how much did you take in. If you got the bar, how much did the bar take? Because you know, a lot of times, you know, a lot of comics don't understand how it works.
Yeah.
Like they don't understand like paper in the room. Like they give a certain amount of tickets away.
Yeah.
They don't understand that. But you know, one thing I've listened to a lot of comedians, you got to spend that money on advertising up front.
Yeah.
You got to pay for that ad. You got to have a clip or two of some jokes that you've told. You got to have those up and pay for them going around. So you got to spend that $200-$300, but you're looking to make a couple grand. So what is $200-$300?
Here's what's crazy. They don't look at it like that. And another thing too, there's these purists that I'm starting to realize where they won't put up clips of their stand-up. I'm like, well, if you're doing enough comedy, you'll never run out of material. So how are you going to get people in seats if they don't know what they're getting?
I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I've been struggling with that because I feel like I haven't put it up in the Premier Club. So I mean, it's not less the funnier than anything else. You hear the laughs, but it's not in that Premier Club. So I've not done that.
I would say this: even if you were, let's say, you put up you have tons of material. I've heard your stuff. Like you can put up like 30 seconds to a minute, like just a small punch book. This one I'm going to put out. It will make such a huge difference at your club because I'm like, oh, because there's something about that visual aesthetics where it's like you see somebody actually working. And then you get that flyer, they're like, okay, I want to come see him. He's actually doing it.
Right. You got a point there. I might need to put, because man, I just, getting in them clubs is difficult. It's very hard, it's very difficult, and I haven't mastered it yet.
You'll get there. It's just because let me tell you something. The city, the circle of comedy is so small, we're all one away. We're literally all one away.
Right.
So you doing this, I'm taking, like, there's a thing. When you're a boss, you talk to other bosses. So you don't have to even worry about the middleman. I'm telling you this. My career has changed over the past year and a half being a producer and manager because you deal with people up top. The young lady that just walked in at the club, her career has skyrocketed because she's meeting people that make decisions because you're a boss. That's another thing about this business. There's comedians, the low end, but then remember I said semi-pro? We're semi-pro. So now the pros are looking like, okay, I'm watching him. He's moving up. Him or her, they're moving up. You're in 6 months, you'll be in a big club.
Yeah, they said that 6 years ago.
Listen, I've been to big clubs, man. You right there. You get on stage, I'm not gonna say material, but some of the jokes is that, man.
I just need a shot, man. We all need an opportunity, right, man.
But just keep working because that opportunity, when that opportunity comes, people are gonna be like, how come they're gonna be upset that they don't know you yet?
Right, and that's what you know what. And at that time, when we get to where we want to go, right. Like you hear the guys now, 20 years ago, sitting talking. That'll be us sitting around talking about that. What's your Instagram, Bileko?
Instagram, Bileko Aziza Wissa Jr. B-I-L. Yeah, I do my whole name.
B-I-L-E-K-O.
A-Z-I-Z-A. And then Wissa, W-I-S-S-A-J-R. I can make it easier for you guys, but I refuse to.
Yeah, he refuses to. So, bam, check out the highlighter at the bottom of the screen. Bileko Wissa. He's out there. He's out producing shows at the Hollywood Comedy. Yes. I'm going to get you down to PK's Lounge to do my room down in Bellflower. So, hey, Cheat Champ Podcast, we're back out here. Hey, man, what's one thing you want to see on this podcast this year? I'm asking two things. One, who should my next guest be? Somebody that I should guest because, shit, it's hard to find guests. So, somebody who you think I should interview next. And two, what is something that you want to see come into fruition 2022?
I think you should interview Keenan Baker. That should be the next person because he's out there. He understands the business. Forget the funny. Funny, you got that, but the business of it. Keenan Baker. If there's one thing I want to see for myself this year, I'm going to be a regular at the Laugh Factory.
Nice.
I'm going to.
Nice. Full fact. Mm-hmm. I would like to be a regular comic on the road. I want to get out there and get the road. I want to get out there and build an audience to sell tickets. Mm-hmm. I mean, I do want to be a regular at these clubs, but even if I did, it's still not going to get me where I want to go. I want to go be performing on the road and be seen other places and do that gold stuff. So I do want to be a regular at the clubs, but I want to be a regular on the road.
He's there. You're already there. I'm telling you.
So I want to get on the road. Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you,
man. Thank you for coming through, man. Cheat Champ Podcast. We all see you all next week. Until next time. Oh, also go to www.stressmoneyless.com. If you're interested in saving money, learning how to build your budget, please go to stressmoneyless.com. Until next time.